Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the GenAI CIO Podcast where we discuss the latest and the greatest in the world of generative AI, especially how it can help the enterprise CEOs across to probably build a very robust generative AI strategy. This is Rishabh joining in from GoML, a very niche generative AI solutions partner. I've been joined in by Shiva as well, from who's the founder of Lizer, where they're doing very interesting work on the latest on the generative AI side as well. Thanks, Shiva, for joining in again. Uh,
Absolutely. Hopefully this episode is recorded. Viewers, the last episode we did record, and our producer somehow forgot to click on the record button. So hopefully this is
it's
being recorded. So that's where the delay. So
Absolutely, and I think that's going to go into our bloopers, right, Shiva? As soon as we probably start our reach that level, right? But uh, as always, I think we've not had any of the weeks till date, but I think this week we do have quite a lot of models getting released, right? And the biggest, obviously, which made news was Meta coming up with Llama 3. Well, obviously, Shiva, you and I have spent a lot of time on on this podcast discussing how open source is working as well as not working, right? But I think with Meta's Llama 3, that debate is, well, I'm pretty sure that it's a long debate to probably continue, but it's settled to some or to certain extent, right? Because Llama 3 is doing the rounds, both from consumability perspective as well as, reaching the benchmarks and probably overcoming some of the, closed source models like Claude 3 and GPT-4 as well, right? Just a brief introduction of what Llama has or Meta has done. They've released a suite of models under Llama 3, out of which more 80 billion and 70 billion parameters have been released, right? I think the 400 billion parameter is what's in the offing. But as always, what they've done is they've again released this as an open model, right? Which means, again, for our viewers, that they've given the source code, right, of this particular of the suite of models that they've actually released, right? And anyone who actually can probably get their hands on will be able to utilize this. But again, for commercial licensing and a particular, which is again I think 7 million monthly users, monthly active users, you will still have to go to Llama to seek permission and maintain license. So they've still maintain the same stance, which again is with what Meta has been saying, is that they want to give the power of these LLMs to the world, to the researchers, and that's why obviously Llama 3 is still an open source model. Just a quick evaluation, Shiva, again for our listeners. This has performed pretty well when you compare it, on the MMLU side, right, with the likes of Gemini Pro and Sonnet, which is the latest from Claude 3. It has again performed well on the human eval and the math parameters, right? I was just trying it out, and just again, one last point on the release side. They've this time one thing different that they've done, right, from the model perspective. Well, always they've released this as an open, or probably Llama's earlier versions have been released as an open source model for you to consume. But this time, Meta actually gave a chat agent as well integrated with Llama 3 for you to try it out, right? So Meta has released Meta AI chatbot, which is integrated with Llama 3, and it is integrated with all the channels across, right? So you can actually leverage it on any of the Meta's platforms, including Meta itself, Instagram, WhatsApp, right? It's not available in India yet, so I have to use a workaround to probably access it, sure, as always. But my observation right now is when I probably tried it out through Meta AI, it was mostly the search queries that it was responding to, right? It was able to probably give me responses, but it actually mostly brought or just summarized the search content that it was able to get on the internet. So through Meta AI, I did not find a lot of utilization for this, but yes, or probably from the consumability perspective, application consumability perspective, this definitely looks promising.
I mean, if I have to probably just summarize, right? So Llama 3 is the best open source model available in the market today. It surpassed Mistral 8 into 7B, which was the previous best model that Mistral launched, even 8 into 22B. What's really surprising the AI community is how much power the Meta was able to pack in a very small model like Llama 3, even the 8 billion model for that reason, because it's performing as good as 3.5, GPT 3.5, which is a 175 billion parameter model, right? Compared to Llama 3, which is an 8 billion model. So what does it say? That people are getting better companies are getting better in tuning the models really well with less number of parameters. So I think that's what's coming out. So hopefully, Sam Altman will not need 7 trillion in the future because the algorithm is probably getting better in the back end to fine tune these models or to even build these models in the first place, train these models.
But that's what he
So,
said,
yep.
right, Shiva? He doesn't even care if they end up spending $50 billion if they are able to bring in AGI, right?
Yeah, he's good at that. I mean, 9 years at Y Combinator, obviously he knows his playbook really well. So, yeah, he's good at that.
Great, great. I
Yeah,
just one last update for again our listeners. This time, for the first time, Llama has focused on the context window expansion as well. While the earlier models, I think, were two,
yeah,
4K is the maximum that they had actually given. This time, they've given a 128K context window model as well. So
correct,
yeah, so one from accuracy perspective, but even from data sharing perspective, etc., this model is much better than the previous versions.
correct, correct.
All
So,
right.
next up, we have another model launch, this time a small model called Phi-3, Phi-3 by Microsoft. They have, I think, few variants. They have Phi-3 Mini, which is a 3.8 billion parameter model, which can run locally on your laptop. You have a Phi-3 Small, which is a 7 billion model, and a Phi-3 Medium, which is a 14 billion model. Now, the best part is when it comes to RAG frame, kind of workloads where you don't need the model to do a lot of reasoning, you don't need the model to do a lot of generation. RAG is all about searching and consume and bringing back the content from your data that you supply. Phi-3 Mini is fantastic because it has decent generation skills, which is it can write grammatically correct sentences. It can chat really well with your data. So for all your local chatbots or agent frameworks, if you need a model that's really, really fast, then something like Phi-3 is really, really good to use. The other fantastic application for Phi-3, which we eventually recently figured out was you can fine tune a small model like Phi-3 and integrate directly with a voice API like a DeepGram, and you will have an ultra fast voice bot up and running for your data, right? It is slightly different from the RAG use case because in case of RAG, it is more of retrieving the data and augmenting and presenting it back to you. But in case of fine tuning a small language model, you are limited by the amount of data that you can use to fine tune the model. But at the same time, the speed is fantastic. Like if you integrate with DeepGram, you can the latency is like in milliseconds. I'm talking about 300 milliseconds or even lower. So the best part is you can use Llama and run Phi-3 locally on your machine. You can have Lizer agents again run locally on your machine, and the whole thing works seamlessly for you. You can have a fully private chat agent or a knowledge search agent or even a multi-agent workflow running locally on your server or on your laptop. And if you don't know how to do that, you have GoML here, fantastic AI engineers and experts who can come in and help. But that is, I mean, I see a massive usage for Phi-3 as we move forward, like small language models.
No, absolutely. I think, and in this way, right, Microsoft did, while obviously they are heavily reliant on OpenAI, but I think with the Phi series, right, Shiva, they've really proved that, it what matters probably is the quality of data, right? And if I go back to probably how they started the Phi series, they had curated a very small data set but very good content data set, right, which allows you to probably run these models on your Windows laptops, right? You don't need probably to spend GPUs, etc. You don't have to even come to cloud, right? But at the same time, you get a good accuracy. So it's not the amount of data, but it's the probably quality of data that is actually required, right? So I think that's what Microsoft is innovating into, which is a very welcome change.
Absolutely. Next up, another big enterprise player, Snowflake, launched their own open source, again, open large language model, which is Arctic. It is again a mixture of experts model similar to Mistral that was launched. I mean, obviously GPT-4 is also a mixture of experts model. They were one of the first ones to launch anyway. Here in case of Arctic, they use 128 smaller models, and so it's a mixture of experts of 128 models, which is surprising because GPT-4 rumored to use only 112 models together. Snowflake using 128. None of this, obviously. For me, at this point in time, it is more like a checkbox that every company needs to have their own models. Like Cohere has one, which is Command R. Snowflake launched one. Databricks launched one. It's kind of more of a checkbox, I think. Honestly, what you're seeing on the ground is very different. Customers they either lean towards only the top models, which are kind of accepted or acknowledged by the industry, like which is still GPT-4 Turbo, Claude 3, and Llama 3, to some extent Mistral. But I think for Snowflake's existing customer, it makes sense because they don't have to now go out. Snowflake has a model, which is, I think, Rishabh, can you fill in more details on why this is different from other models? I think you have a couple
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
points there.
See, I
Yes.
think one of the things, Shiva, right, is, and I'm probably drawing some parallels of what Oracle did with the Oracle Cloud, right, is,
Ah,
while, today, and we've been in that world, right, well, obviously, a lot of these applications probably will not go and sit on Oracle Cloud. It is not the customer's first choice, right, but everything, right, from Exadata applications to Oracle applications, Exadata hosted applications, etc., since they could perform better on OCI, right, they were being hosted or they're still being hosted on Oracle, right? See, while I do agree with you, like these type of models, like what Snowflake has released as Arctic, like or probably Einstein, which is the Salesforce model, right? These will not create a lot of virality in the system. But what Snowflake or probably Salesforce are trying to do is probably stay relevant in the market with their own product adoption. So people who are already consuming, and I think Snowflake has what, close to 9,000 plus enterprise customers across the globe. And one of the biggest use cases that they've actually promoted through this is querying the underlying Snowflake data. And we've seen a lot of adoption, or probably one of the biggest use cases that we've seen with customers. We're doing this with manufacturing customers. We're doing with this with financial customers, right? Is
hmm.
understand the underlying complex data warehouse systems that's sitting in leveraging these large language models, right? So while I do agree, probably the adaptability outside of these systems, while as a developer or probably as a company which is providing enterprise services to someone else, I will not use Arctic. But someone who's already consuming Snowflake, if the adaptation is better, if I can use it out of the box, probably definitely it makes sense, right? Because just imagine you have this massive Snowflake system that's actually sitting in, and you're able to interact with the data. The problem that starts coming in when and this is where most of these enterprises are. They are not sitting on one data warehouse, right? They're actually sitting on multiple data warehouse systems. That's where probably such type of models might not work out, sure.
I think, yeah. So anyway, good release by Snowflake, but you'll have to wait and see the efficacy of the whole thing.
Adaption. Yep. Absolutely.
Right, yeah. The
All right.
efficacy word stuck with me ever since COVID vaccines came out. Uh,
Right.
okay. Next up, Elon Musk, XAI raises $6 billion from marquee investors like Sequoia. I think it's pretty clear that he's going after OpenAI. That's very clear. And he even made a statement recently saying, I think he took a jibe at OpenAI struggles to raise money. Apparently, we also covered the news earlier in one of our podcasts that
Yeah.
Microsoft has paid only 10% of what was committed, right? Which means there is a crunch on the finances that Sam Altman and team needs to build OpenAI further. Wherein Elon Musk, that's where I think he took a jibe. He said, you know what? 6 billion, 10 billion, none of that is money anymore. Not a big deal for him or at XAI because Tesla will also be very closely involved in investing further into the whole AI story. So he said that the one with the biggest wallet is the one who's going to win the AI race. That's what he said, and he also kind of added to the fact that he does not have any issues with money, unlike some other players, which is like OpenAI in this space. So yeah, let's see where it takes. As of now, the model has been underwhelming. They are nowhere on the leaderboard. There is definitely one advantage that the model is better with the images because of the Tesla. Tesla comes with a lot of images because of the self-driving capability that they're trying to build. So the model comes with that advantage, but otherwise the model is kind of not there in the leaderboard. Let's see where the $6 billion takes XAI to.
No, absolutely. I think definitely deep. Well, obviously GPT is and probably is going to remain a market leader for a long time, Shiva, as we all know, especially with five in the cards, right? GPT-5 in the cards, right? Uh, I think one obviously is X is just starting, right? So probably I would say they are where probably GPT or OpenAI was probably a year back or 2 years
Hmm.
back even, right? What would be very interesting to see is one obviously as you mentioned, right? They have access to this massive image set that they've gotten through Tesla. But once probably he starts leveraging a lot of data that he's gathering to SpaceX, to Neuralink integration, to actual X integration, and so on and so forth. I think I do see a lot of potential, especially with he's capable of Elon Musk is capable of. But as you rightly mentioned, I don't think so. It's a threat yet to Chat GPT, but it soon might be, right? So yeah, I mean, honestly, if you really ask me, Shiva, it's such a young industry right now. It's very early to. I'm going back to the days when we were in ecom, and eventually we saw whoever was deep pocketed probably won, right? So maybe it might have the same fate, but it's yet to be seen, right? That brings us to a very interesting update. Apple again, right? Well, obviously, especially while Apple definitely has been an innovator in a lot of tech fields, right? But in Gen AI, probably they've taken a backseat, right? In fact, to a level, that a couple of months ago they announced that they will have the Gemini Ultra models available on iPhones to probably power Siri, right? But something interesting, obviously, is that they've launched an open source model, which is very unlike Apple. And this is actually the second open source model that they've launched, which is called OpenALM, right? Now, one more innovative approach towards OpenELM that they've taken, which I think Shiva you mentioned about mixture of experts, right? Where mixture of
Yeah.
experts, what you do is you've got your domain expert model sitting in, right? And then probably based on the query, you select the model that is actually capable of responding to it. Right? So you select one or
Yeah.
combination of these models, right? But what they've actually done is they've actually created a parameter allocation strategy in the suite of models that they've actually launched. So they've launched a suite of models which range from close to 270 million to 3 billion parameters. But it's not like every model is consuming the complete set of parameters to respond to the questions. That's where I mean something which is new that they've brought in is that based on the query, the response that needs to be generated, it leverages a limited set of parameters that is required to probably respond to that query, not probably the complete memory space from the model. Right. So that's something innovative that they launched. But again, Apple has launched an open source model in the past. They claim that they will be bringing this to their devices as well. Right. But I honestly don't see a lot of potential, at least at this point, and we've not tried it out. So, yep.
Yeah, no, I'm just waiting for Apple to. I think the upcoming launch, there are rumors that OpenAI GPT will be powering Siri in the backend. So I'm just waiting if that's going to happen. As far as ELM and other models are concerned, yeah, we just have to wait
It
and
could be
watch.
a strategy as well. Like Tim Cook just mentioned, probably they're waiting or they GenAI is probably the core of their strategy for the upcoming annual conference that they have in June, and that conference has always been like a massive open, right? So probably yeah, this could lead to something big, but we'll have to just wait for that conference to happen.
Yeah.
All
What
right.
next?
Moving to something more interesting, right, Shiva? Again, there are a lot of challenges in the market. China has been in the space for a long time, right? So, next two updates that we're going to share is primarily, both the updates are with China. So, China has challenged Sora, right, in terms of the video generation. Well, obviously, Sora has, mesmerized everyone with the launch videos that they had, but it did have certain set of limitations, especially in the quality of the videos that were generated and the amount. So I think you can generate 5 seconds worth of video with a single prompt with Sora. But what they've launched is called Vidu, right, which all works on a similar pattern as Sora does, which is they're leveraging universal transfer visual transformation or UBIT model, which is a combination of the transformer and the diffusion models that are generally used. So usually your image and video generation models have been diffusion models, right? But both Sora and probably Vidu actually combine both of these to probably give good quality images. But where they've
Okay.
differentiated themselves, Shiva, is that it allows you to probably generate up to 60-second worth of videos, and the quality of videos that they've shown are, HD image videos, which was a little higher quality than what Sora was able to give. And at the same time, within a single video, they were able to generate multi-camera angles within that video, right? So show probably from the, which probably bring in the cinematography angle as well to these videos, right? So I was just looking at some of these demo videos that they've launched, very interesting. So definitely a good challenger for Sora. The only
Exactly. I
limitation
mean, yeah, go ahead.
Now, I'm saying the only limitation that I probably could see was, or probably at least in the demo video, was that it was more focused towards the Chinese ethnicity in terms of the, the images or the content that, so because it might be trained on that data, but otherwise it definitely looks like a challenger.
I mean, the crazy thing is Runway ML, who's been in the generative video space for many months now, has still not cracked what Sora has cracked. But this Chinese company is like fantastic. What they were able to crack is really crazy. So, well, nice. What next? What are the other Chinese innovation news that we have?
So the second innovation obviously is Chinese. Again, all of us have spoken about robotics, right, Shiva? That to the extent that with the likes of Figure, Tesla itself, launching its humanoid robot. Uh, all of us, including the industry leaders, feel that probably 5 or 10 years down the line, all of us would have some form of robotics in our day-to-day life, right? Like how we use smartwatches or wearables today. So obviously, everyone has been investing, but Beijing has just launched Tiangong, right? That's what they're naming it. But how probably this becomes a little more different than probably what Figures or probably what Tesla humanoid robo has been able to do is it's been able to do two things, right? So one is that it's been able to run to up to 6 kilometers per hour speed, right? Just as a human does. But in the video, what they were showing Shiva is that it was able to adjust its gait, right? And it's a 43 kg robot that they've actually built. It was able to adjust its gait based on the underlying terrain. So it was able to step or probably walk on the steps and probably adjust its gait. Right after the steps, it was able to walk straight. But then probably after a slope or probably then when a slope came in, it slowly adjusted its gait and speed to that, right? In fact, it looked, so adjustable and so real, at least in the demo video again, is that when it was stepping on the steps, it faltered on one of the steps, but right for the next
Okay.
step it was able to gain its balance and then probably adjust its gait again to walk on that step. So definitely looks very promising and challenging again. An interesting speed to be seen.
I mean, the Figure robot, which where an OpenAI was an investor, made a lot of ripples. Then the Boston Dynamics new crazy creepy robot that we saw is also something that was creating news. And now this Chinese company, I don't know, Rishabh, I don't know if we are already moving away from generative AI to robots. So, I don't know, it's too early to say, but yeah.
I was just
Huh?
reading, Nvidia has actually launched, although it's a research project or an experimental project that they're working on called Eureka, right?
Yeah,
And
yes.
and what it's able to now do is it's although Eureka is a dog type of a robo that they've actually launched, but innovatively again it's able to probably walk on balls, right? So the video actually showed where it was able to adjust uneven services, unpredictable services on the go, right? So definitely, I think uh, very early to predict, but it's moving as fast, probably, where we can see adoption coming in the next couple of years rather than decades, for sure.
Cool. So that brings an end to this week's episode. We have some more news to cover. I think we'll cover early next week, the rest of the news in the next episode. Feel free to reach out to us if you have anything that you want to accomplish in the field of generative AI. I mean, we have Lizer Agent Framework, the enterprise alternate to LangChain. Super simple to use, much faster to build your AI agents and LLM applications. And we also have GoML here, who can help you build any generative AI application from start to finish, including fine-tuning your LLMs and eventually helping you achieve the outcome that you wanted on the business side. So until we meet next time, take care. Bye from Siva and Rishabh.
Thanks, everyone.